Right, let's move on with our second part of this question. This one says we must sketch the graphs of f and g on the same system of axes using the same interval, minus 90 and 180. Remember what is it that we were doing previously? In 8.1, we're trying to find out the values where these two graphs intersect. And we find that they will be meeting in 5 different places. So what is it that we're doing now? We're checking the same thing graphically. We're sketching these two graphs to check if they interact in those places. Which one is easier to sketch? The sine graph will be easier to sketch because it's a smooth graph. That one, the cosine graph, it has a different period. Let's start with f. Let's start with f first. F is the cos, g is the sine graph. Let's start with f. What is it that I need to know about f? I know in this graph, I know my amplitude will be 1. The amplitude is 1. I know my period. My period is 360 divided by whatever value that I have here of p. That will be over 3. What is the answer there? 360 over 3. 3 into 3 goes once. 3 into 6 goes twice. 3 into 0 is 0. So the period there will be 120. So the period of that graph is 120. All I need to find out as well, after getting my period, is those intervals where I'll be stepping up my graph. If I take 120 and divide it by 4 to find my actual intervals, to find my stepping up, I call them intervals. I will have to say 120 divided by 4. What is it that I get here? 4 into 1 doesn't go. 4 into 12 goes 3 times. 4 into 0 goes 30. So this graph has got to go in steps of 30 degrees. So we have to go in steps of 30 degrees. Let's sketch that graph then. Remember that I've got to show this graph from minus 90 up to 180. But even though I know how to sketch this graph, let's look at it. Let's just do it here. Let me just give it some space this side. Right. Remember that I don't have to show everything. For argument's sake, let's say this graph goes up to 360. If this is 360, where would 180 be? It will be here. 180. What will this one be? It will be 270. This one will be 90. Right. But this graph says I've got to step it up. I've got to have intervals of 30. If this is 90, then minus 90 will be this side. Because I've got to show minus 90. I'm following these instructions now. This instruction is minus 90 up to 180. That's why I need to show it. But I need to have these 30 degrees intervals here. So if this is 90, this will be 30, this will be 60, this will be 90. 30, 30, 30, 30. Do I have to show beyond? Oh, I don't even have to show beyond 270. It doesn't matter. I've got to show up to that position. This side, I've got to do the same thing. This is 30, this is 60, this is 90. I've got to divide into 3. Right, what is my highest point here? If I'm starting with the cosine graph, the amplitude is 1. So I know that if my 1 is here for this graph, the same 1 will be here for that other graph. The distance from here to here is the same as this distance. It is 1. So this is minus 1, and that is 1. These are the y-axis, and these are the x-axis. So remember that. Right, let's do this thing. Remember, we're sketching the cosine graph. What is this saying to us? These will be important angles. These will be important points because I'm stepping up with 30 degrees. And the amplitude in this particular case is 1. What is this saying to me? I'm starting there at 1. I know at the back of my mind that the cosine graph is a graph that looks like that. So I'll be going here, cut here, 10, cut, and so on and so forth. Now, if I'm starting from there, I'll be coming down here and cut here. Cut at this value. I know this value is 30 degrees. This one is 60. This one is 90. 90 plus 30 give me what? 90 plus 10, it's 90 plus 30. 90 plus 30. It should give me 120, yes? 120. 120 plus 30, it's 150, and so on and so forth. I don't need anything beyond that. If I come this side, if this is 30, this should be minus 30. This is 60, this should be minus 60. If that is 90, minus 90, and so on and so forth. That's how I'll be going on the negative side, which is minus 60. All right, let's move. I said to you, we start from this, because this is a cosine graph. We're starting with the cosine graph. It has been shrinked 3 times by 3, so it's going to be squashed together. This is 3. This is the first point. It will come to 90. It will turn at 90 and 60 degrees. It will turn here. It will go up and cut at this next one. It will turn at this one now. If it cuts here, it turns at that one and 120 and 1. Remember, I don't forget my interval. I've got to show from 90. At the moment, I've just shown from 0, but I was supposed to go on the negative side. But I have to go up to 180 here. So I said it started there, cut here, turn here, cut there, turn there with 120, and at 150 it will cut as well, and also turn at 180. It was going there, but it says I must stop at 180, so I can't go further than this. I will stop there. So what is it that I'll be having on the positive side? I'll be having something like this, something like this, something like that, something like this, up to 180. I can't go beyond 180 because the restriction is stopping me from doing that. But it doesn't say I must start from 0. Where am I supposed to start? At 90. So this graph continues this side as well. So I've got to turn there, come down here, cut here, go down here, turn at minus 60 and minus 1, and also back here. I don't have to go beyond minus 9. If I'm supposed to go beyond that, because this graph will be continuous. So this then will be a graph that looks like this one. It is important that you should name our graph. This is how this graph of cos 3x will look like. They refer to it as f, so we name it f. This is the graph of f. We name it f. Right, that's the first part. The second part that we need to sketch is a normal sine graph. Remember, in this particular graph, what is my amplitude? The amplitude in this case for G, the amplitude A in this case is 1. What is the period? My period is going to be 360 divided by 1, because the value there is 1, which will be 360. Remember there the period was 360 divided by 3, because we had 3 there to give us 120. So once I get my period, I've got to find how am I going to step up this graph. I call them intervals. So you take your period, your 360. In this particular case, we divide it by 4, which will give us 90. Once I've got all these values, it will be easier for me to sketch this graph. Let's do. And have the shape at the back of your mind. How do you go about sketching this graph? Let's sketch the sine graph, the normal sine graph. I know that it should start from 0. It should start from 0. Go this side, and it will continue from this side on the negative side, because I've got to show up to minus 90. Easy for me, this one. This one steps up, go 90 degrees. So from the next point, that will be this one. Remember that I'll be going up because this sign is positive. This sign is positive. Where is it? This is a positive graph, so I go up. If this was a negative graph, I was going to go down. Because this is positive, we go up. So from here, it will cut there, it will turn there at 1 and 90 degrees. It will turn there, so it will be going like that. Where will it cut the x-axis? From 90 to go to 180, so it will cut at 180. Do I need to show beyond 180? No, so I'm done that side. So let's look at this other side. Remember, this goes in 90s, so the next one after 0 will be minus 9. But it's going like that, so if I'm coming from that side, I have to go down. I will have to turn at 90 and minus 1, 90 and minus 1. So this should be my turning point and going up there. So this is a graph that, in the positive side, it will be a graph that looks like this, a typical sine graph, but I don't have to go further because I'm restricted by this restriction, or this restriction, which is the interval. So this side, I'm going on the negative side as well. I'm going to turn here at 90, but I don't have to show beyond 90. So this is how the two graphs will look like. Remember in the first problem that we were doing, while we were doing the same thing algebraically, it indicated that these two graphs will intersect in 5 different places. Now let us check whether these graphs are equal. Remember, where they are equal, it's where they intersect. They said they will be equal in these 5 places. If we catch them, let us check if we do have the 5 places where the two graphs intersect. Let's check them. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So what are these values that we see here? It is the same values that we found when we're doing it algebraically. So it intersects in 5 different places. Now, it is also important, boys and girls, to understand that when you do these graphs, you've got to find the exact position. That position, you've got to find this position. What is this value? Looking at what we have there, you can actually see what is this value. It is just above 60 but less than 90. Which value is that? It is this one. So we even know exactly where that value is. Where minus 67,5 is. This is teaching us that. Now this value here, we know that it is minus 67,5. It helps to see these values, their actual position. Look at the next one. This one is negative. So this is above 30 but less than 6. So there's a value that is here that we also know. What value is that? That is above 30 but less than, less than minus 60, but above minus 60. So that value is minus 45. So we know that it is minus 45 degrees. I know those values. What do you think this one will be? What do you think this value is? This value there. What do you think is? It is, yes, it is less than 30 degrees, but above 0 degrees. In this particular case, we've talked about this one, we talked about this one. So that is the value that we're talking about in this particular one, which is equals to 22,5. 22,5. Let's look at the next value. Let's look at this one. This next value here. So we've done 22,5. We are left with 2. 112,5. Yes. Yes, this is 112, just before 120. This is 112,5. So what is this last one? It is 135. 135. 135. So that is what this is where these graphs are intersecting. In those places. Right. So we can even tell exactly where they are, the positions that we find on the other one. Thank you.